Welcome to the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast.
Hello everyone, this is Jefferson with What's Happening Birmingham. Today I have the honor and pleasure of being with attorney Gerri Robinson.
Hello everybody.
She is a candidate for Jefferson County District Court Judge, Place 1 on the Democrat ballot on March the 3rd, 2020. Gerri, thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I've heard so many wonderful things about your podcast, and I'm just delighted to be here. It's an honor.
All right, and you're the first person of 2020.
Yes!
The first person.
Great, that's wonderful.
So let's start off. Tell people about your story.
Well, my name is Gerri Robinson. I grew up in a rural Jefferson County town called Docena. I am the product of a single parent home. I have a twin brother and 6 additional siblings.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yes. So my mother basically said at one point, 8 is enough.
Okay.
Well, my mother was a very good, strong disciplinarian. So we learned a lot of values. We learned to make sure that we were giving ourselves in the community. And believe it or not, we had perfect attendance in school.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, we actually received certificates for that. But anyway, my mom was a very good disciplinarian, and of course, she's the love of my life. She passed away several years ago, but her legacy lives on. Mother taught us so many things that we needed to do, morals and that kind of thing, and she always taught us to be supportive of other people and to work in the community. I attended Minor High School, and after attending Minor, I attended Lawson State. At some point, I knew I had to do something that was going to make not only my mom proud, but me proud. I wanted to do something to sort of be involved in the community. So again, community is what she's actually taught us. Once you start in the community, then everything else just happens in order. After attending Minor High School, I went to Lawson State College. Couldn't afford to go to college on my own. My mother couldn't afford it. She was a single parent, as stated. So I ended up getting a lot of grants, which was wonderful because I didn't have to deal with having to pay those back. I started to work at the city of Birmingham, I believe, and oh Lord, it's been quite a while, but I worked there for a total of 25 years.
Okay.
And thanks to Birmingham, Alabama, the city of Birmingham, I was able to get most of my education through either grants, which I mentioned earlier, and the city of Birmingham actually paid for my formal education. While working in the mayor's office, I attended Birmingham Southern College. The city of Birmingham paid for tuition. They had a tuition refund program, which is something that I thank God I took advantage of. I went to school there, graduated with a BS in management. I further decided, after I became divorced, I had 2 small children. During the time I worked for the city, I was married, had 2 children, and just had a whole lot that I had to do, but I had to get it done. And after I attended Birmingham Southern, I decided later, well, I need to do something else. So I decided to attend law school. After attending law school, I did that at night as well. It was a struggle, but people ask me now, Gerri, how did you do it? I don't know how I did it. I just had the determination that I was taught, and that's what I did. So here I am. I attended law school at night, had 2 small children at the time. I believe my children were 7 and 10 when I started law school. So again, it wasn't a piece of cake, but anyway, I made it a piece of cake. I have enjoyed what I've done. I became an attorney in 2001. I worked for the city of Birmingham from, I believe, 1973 or 4. And I worked for 10 years in the mayor's office, 11 years at the city's Department of Equipment Management. We handled all of the rolling stock. I was the manager in the office at the time. And eventually, when there was another council election, I was honored to work for Councilor Leroy Bandy. He was the councilor for District 9 at that time. I passed the bar and became a practicing attorney. And after his tenure, I went on to work for a law firm. I did that for about maybe 8 months to a year, and I decided I could do my own. And I've been a practicing attorney with my own managing my own firm for 19 years. So with that being said, I decided I wanted to do more in the community as well as doing what I had to do with the law. I still realized those morals that I was taught. Gerri, you need to give back to the community. So that's what I've been doing. I was neighborhood president in my neighborhood for more than 15 years.
All right.
I received an opportunity to work to become a public defender.
All right.
And I do that. That is what I do currently, as well as I have my own business. I still have my own office. So I've done that for a little more than a year now.
Okay.
It is the love of my life.
Okay.
I truly enjoy it because I'm helping people.
Okay.
We have people to come before us, and in my opinion, everybody should not be locked up. So I do everything I can to get people out of jail. That's basically where we are.
Okay.
We want them to understand also, not that's just that they should get out of jail, but we have, the city of Birmingham has wonderful programs. All you have to do is really give of yourself, as I've done. Give of yourself, be sincere and dedicated, committed to it, and anything you want to have done, it can happen. With that being said, I decided to run for this position.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Why
Yes,
you do it?
this position, Gerri Robinson, District Court Judge, place 1. Please remember, I like to say first and foremost, always make sure that you look at the candidates. You just don't look at that piece of paper you get.
Okay.
If you look at, people are going to give you a beautiful picture, but do some background checking. Check to see what someone has done. Look at that face that you've seen all the time. Don't just look at some face that you see and you may not see again for another term that comes up. But I'm asking you to remember that it's very important to think about things that might happen and things that you might need.
Okay.
And you look at who's been there. You look at that familiar face and that familiar name and try to determine best you can what would be best for you. Again, I'm asking people to think about Gerri Robinson, District 1, Court, Place 1, Jefferson County. Anything?
So let's talk about Place 1. What type of cases will you be hearing and preside over?
Well, first of all, I want people to understand what type of court this is. This is a court where you have one person, the judge, will make all decisions about your case.
So stay on camera, tell me that again.
Yes. This is a judgeship that you need to remember that there's one person making decisions about your case. Now, this court I refer to as the People's Court. This is a court where people don't come in lawyered up. They can't afford an attorney. And if you can't afford an attorney and there's an attorney on the other side, you're kind of lost, you're intimidated. Sometimes you sign paperwork, you don't know what you're going to do. In this court handles cases that are breach of contract, any small claim, and most importantly, evictions. Have you ever thought about a person who's been evicted? You might see their things have been placed on the street because for whatever reason, they couldn't afford to either pay their rent or for whatever reason, and they go into a courtroom and they're not armed with an attorney and they're just lost, don't know what to do. So that court is one that you really need to think and put yourself in that place, in a place where you say, you know, if I go into a courtroom and I'm not armed with an attorney, not because I don't want to, but because I can't afford one, then you ask yourself, what would I do? You don't know what to do. So a lot of times people end up having to pay legal fees, that they're unexpected legal fees. They don't know what happened. Sometimes you need to make sure when people come into a courtroom and they're pro bono, that means they don't have an attorney, they're trying to handle it themselves, they don't know anything about what to do about that. So this is the type of court that you need to actually think about and realize that you go into that court, there is no jury. There are not several people who can make a decision and make recommendations for what should happen to you in the future. A lot of times people have gone into these courts, a lot of times they should have been served, and sometimes they say, well, I haven't been served. A lot of people need to understand that service is so important. If you're actually served, you need to make a response to the court. Either say, I didn't do it. That's enough. But you gotta you cannot ignore the court. Let the court know, well, I'm here, I didn't do it. But you gotta communicate with the court. You cannot ignore it. That's how some people get into the biggest trouble they've ever been in. So this court is a court that deals with things that are small claims numbers, things that You think, well, somebody came and they served me a paper. Well, if you got service, you must respond. That's one thing. If you take nothing back, remember, if you are ever served a legal paper, not something that comes in the mail, unless it's certified, and there are ways to do it. But if you are actually served, you need to respond to the court, because that is how people get into the biggest trouble with this court. You need to make sure that you respond.
All right, well, let me ask you the next question. We'll flip it back to for the position.
Okay.
In your opinion, what qualities and qualifications should voters look for, and who they should pick?
Well, first of all, I have actually worked into district court in this case. In this court, I worked in there a number of times. Again, it handles a lot of evictions, small claims, breach of contract, those types of things. That is something that is heavy on my schedule. And these are things that I've seen and I've done for 19 years. I've been practicing law. I've done a lot of pro bono work, meaning that people have not always paid me for the services, but I'm also a member of the volunteer lawyers, and I do a lot of volunteer work, a lot of pro bono work. And it's not that I advertise it, because I do it because I realize I'm sitting in a courtroom and someone is there and they don't know what to do. Sometimes I'll just step in with the judge's permission. So one thing that I say, I have actually seen things happen from every aspect you can think of. First of all, I've sat on the bench, so I'm sitting there on the bench and I'm looking out over the courtroom and I see what's going on.
All right.
So I've made decisions for people when they don't know what's going to happen to them next. I am fair and impartial. You need to come in and you need to plead your case. However, if you are without an attorney, I understand that this court is what I consider the people's court, because people come in sometime and they have no clue what to do. I've also been a prosecutor. I've also served as a defense attorney. So I've actually looking at it in all aspects. I've sat on the bench and I've had to make decisions for the case that's presented before me. I've been on the left side where there's a prosecutor who is trying to prosecute you for doing wrong. And I've been on the right side where there's a defense attorney, myself, as I speak now. And everybody doesn't need to be chastised for something that has not been proven. A lot of times there are allegations, and that's what I always say. And people laugh at me sometimes when I'm before the court, if they're accustomed to it. I always say, well, Judge, these are allegations. I want people to prove their case. However, I do understand that in this court, people do not always have the means to hire an attorney. So it's sort of a specialty court for me. And again, I've been in that court a number of times. I've had to do appeals. And one thing that people must learn, oftentimes when you have to do an appeal, number one, you don't have the money already to pay for the reason you're there.
Yes.
You've been evicted. Someone is suing you for something else, and you don't have the means to finance that. So when you have to do an appeal, oftentimes you're going to have to pay the money, whatever the case is worth. If you're not satisfied with the decision, you might have to pay that money up front, and that just places you farther behind. I have an ear for that because I've seen it happen so many times. I'm not saying that people are not doing their jobs and people are not serving, but I do know that there have been instances where people were not truly served. And because of that, they ended up with, have you ever been at a closing table? You're closing a real estate case, a deal, and they said, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Jarvis, there's something that we didn't tell you.
Okay.
Well, you said, well, we're here to close. What's going on? Well, there's a lien against you, or there's a judgment that was placed against you 4 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. You have no idea. Now, again, sometimes people do know about these things, but sometimes I've seen it and I've actually fixed it for people, or not fixed it, but, represented someone who's been in a position like that. So oftentimes, if you do not actually know what's on your history, if you're trying to buy a house or do something, make a major purchase, you might need to go and make sure that you don't have anything like that on your record, because by the time you are ready to actually seal the deal, you can have it taken care of. But oftentimes in this courtroom, this is what happens to people, and this is why I offer myself, because I've actually experienced it before, and I would love to serve as your judge in that position.
Okay, well, I feel like you've answered my next question, which was about how has your career experiences practicing law has prepared you for the position. Let's go into and I think you said this again, but when we get a chance we answer,
Okay.
what people should know if they enter your courtroom if
Well,
you're elected?
First thing I want you to know is when you come into the courtroom, consider yourself coming into an environment where you will be treated like a human being. I'll treat you fairly. You must come in prepared to defend yourself. If you do not, then I understand that, because again, this is the people's court. In this particular court, you may not be able to afford an attorney. I will not break the law. Mind you, I will not break the law. I will not be able to defend your case for you. However, I am compassionate, I'm dedicated to what I'm doing, and I'm here to help people.
All right, so let me ask you, so if elected, what are some of your goals and objectives?
Well, first of all, one of my major goals and objectives is to remain committed, dedicated to working in the community. I will not show my face here and there. I will be involved, actively involved, as I have been. As I stated earlier, my mother taught us to reach out. People don't need to ask for certain things. As a judge, I believe it would be very important. It's what a part of me to offer yourself. You need to go to the neighborhood association meetings. You need to become involved in the things that happen on the streets in your city. You need to be involved with all of the things that are happening, not just in your neighborhood, but in the community and state as well, and wherever else you can help. So one of the things that I want people to understand is, as a judge, there are certain things that comes with it. It's not all about the power. It's not all about that. It's about helping people. And sometimes it's okay for you to have people sit down. What I like to do in any environment, I like to have people come in, sit, and try to communicate and work things out themselves.
Okay.
Because once a judge makes a decision, it's very hard to go back and say, well, you know what, Judge, I don't like that decision. So what I want you to do is I want you to let us go back. Well, it's a little too late for that.
Okay.
However, compassion sits in, dedication to doing what's right about working with people. So I just want people to know that if you come in armed with the mindset that you're going to have a fair, positive environment. And again, you just need to come in and present yourself as best you can. We know that everybody cannot afford an attorney, and that's what this court is about. Again, you will not have a jury in this courtroom. You will have one person who will make the decisions. If you do not like the decision that has been made, then you may not have any other option, because if you can't afford to do the appeal, which can sometimes be not just costly, but extremely costly, then you will not be able to do anything further. And then it's sort of like a demise. So again, one of the things that I want people to understand is this is considered the people's court. So that's what I'd like for people to remember. Come in armed with the mindset that you will be given a fair shot as everybody else would be.
All right, if you don't mind, I want to kind of switch back to your bio that you sent me over. Some things kind of stuck out. One was the Gerri Robinson's Christmas Gifts for Kids Gala.
Oh yes. Years back, I had a client to come in, and this person was not prepared to pay the legal fees. I listened to her story. Mind you, we get these a lot.
All right.
But I'm a fairly decent judge of character. I realized this lady actually needed some help. So after she left, I did the work for her, and I didn't charge her a dime. And that doesn't happen every day, but it happens a lot often with me than some. However, she called me back and she thanked me and everything. And so we started having dialogue, and I asked her to come in. We sat down and we talked about it. And I realized that this lady and I had a lot of things in common.
All right.
Many things that she told me that happened to her in growing up, thank God I didn't have to experience it. My mom, as I stated earlier, my mother instilled things into me that keeps me going today. And after I had a lot of dialogue with this lady, we talked for a long time, and I realized that we had some things in common, and that we didn't have a lot of the most expensive things in life, as some would call. We didn't have things that some people, it was just something that was so common to others. But when I got a bicycle for Christmas, oh my God,
Okay.
I thought we were rich. So the thing about it is, after I spoke to her, we started talking, and I thought about it. And one thing I want everybody to remember about me every single day of my life, after I say my prayers,
All right.
I'm not going to preach,
All right.
but after I say my prayers morning and night, I always thank God for giving me the mindset to help one person.
Okay.
Sometimes you don't have to give them a gift.
Okay.
It's a wonderful thing to just give them a kind word.
Okay.
One thing I do want to mention that I stated in that bio is that when I see public servants, police officers, deputies, public works employees, anyone that serves the public, military, I always tell them, bow my head at them slightly and say, we appreciate all that you do.
Okay.
That is one thing that I do anytime I see a police officer or public servant or anyone that's out there working in the streets and doing, and of course, and sometimes if you see someone who just, you can look at a person sometimes, you realize that person needs something positive.
Okay.
You know, I'll walk up to them and say, well, hi, how are you? Why are you looking so mean? Who are you mad at?
Okay.
Well, that makes them smile. So I try to do something every single day to put a smile on somebody's face. But back to the gifts for kids, I believe it was in 2003, there was I had this dream of just doing something for somebody that I'd never experienced.
Okay.
When I was growing up, my mother made sure we had things. We didn't know what it was like to be poor.
Okay.
Because we were healthy in many ways.
Okay.
We had good health. We had a wonderful mom. We had each other. And my mother was the type of person that would tell you, Mom, can I go across the street to play? No.
Okay.
You have enough siblings. Go out there and play with your sisters and your brothers. And we knew that that was the rule. When she made a statement, and of course everybody knows that grew up with me in Dulcina, all Mama had to do was look.
Okay.
Give you that eye.
Know that look, all right.
Yes, everybody knows that look. But I was talking to a friend and I said, I have something I want to run by you. And we talked about the gifts for kids. And I said, you know what? You have definitely just put the icing on the cake. I said, I'm going to do it. She said, well, Gerri, how are you going to do that? How are you going to afford that? I said, well, so I started putting a little money to the side. And by the end of the year, I was well equipped to do it. Well, I did it at my expense. I had this desire to help people. It wasn't only for children in dire need, but some of these children don't have a clue what a pair of sneakers are. Nikes. You throw them in the closet and you never see them anymore. So what we started to do, I decided that I wanted to spearhead, and I had to fund it myself. We did, I believe in 2003, I developed this Gerri Robinson's Christmas Gifts for Kids. This is something that I have done for in excess of 17 years without interruption. And it is it's a wonderful feeling.
You a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we have given thousands, and I mean thousands of gifts. I don't not only collect them, we distribute them. If someone says, well, you know, I want you to have them during the holiday, but not only during the holiday, we give them to kids. I keep things in my possession that I didn't distribute during the Christmas holiday. I keep things in my possession because sometimes we have clients. You have this little daughter and you're, you know, I'm not one of those lawyers that said, don't bring the kids up. Kids are the future. Well, if you have a little baby and, you know, her little nose is running or his little, they might have a coat that really needs to be replaced. I keep that kind of stuff in my office. I'm done with everything. You're getting ready to go. And I said, just one moment. Then I'll go outside of the office, go to the other area. I've observed the child. I've observed the mom. If there's anything in there in my stash that I have that mom can use, I'll give it to mom. And generally I'll say, Mom, I want you to carry this with you, and please do not open it until you get home, if you don't mind. Please, because I don't want them to feel indebted to me. I don't want them to feel that way. But my desire is to help somebody. And again, if I can help somebody, then my work is not done in vain.
All right, so on Tuesday, March 3rd, 2020, literally, I guess, that's a day like 60 days away almost.
It's not long. It's really pretty close.
Pretty close. So
pretty close.
What I want to do right now, and this will probably be a regular segment on my podcast, is I'm gonna let you make your closing argument to the voters.
First of all, remember this. I am your true Democratic candidate. I have never switched parties. I've been a Democrat all my life. Basically, my mother wouldn't have had it any other way. On March 3rd, remember, please go to the polls. A lot of people say, well, I didn't know that there was going to be a race. The primary is March 3, 2020. Please be sure to go to the polls. One other thing I want you to remember, when someone approaches you, if it's me or anybody else, find out what you can find out about the person. In other words, don't just look at the information that I'm presenting to you. I want you to do some sort of background. See which face you've seen in the community. Ask yourself, if I'm in need, which of these people will be there for me? How many people can say that they know all of the people that are running in this race or in any race? Make sure when you go to the polls on March 3rd, 2020, remember Gerri Robinson? I have been in the neighborhood for many, many years. Have a great day.
So how can they reach you? Phone number?
Yes. You can reach me by dialing 205. My office number is 254-3100. You can always reach me on that number. If you do not get me, please leave a number and I will return your call. Do not take for granted that I have your number. If you call and can't get me, please. You can also reach me on 205-542-5837. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions for me. There are many things that people do not understand about the race or about me. If you have questions, I'm an open book. Give me a call and I'll do whatever I can to answer your questions.
All right. So, Gerri, thank you for coming on today.
You're very welcome. And again, I have heard so much about this podcast. Okay. This is my first time actually being interviewed by you.
All right.
You've been absolutely wonderful. I know I was in court today and I appreciate your being patient with me because I couldn't get out of court.
Well, we're just going to get this right.
But this is absolute. I have really enjoyed, again, I've heard some wonderful things about this podcast, and now I see it for myself.
All right, well, thank you for coming in.
Absolutely
like I said,
wonderful.
You was the first person, and thank you all for watching 2019. Got bigger things coming this year, more videos and everything. So, y'all, don't forget to vote Tuesday, March 3rd, 2020. Bring a friend to the polls. Thank you for watching this video today. Please check out what'shappeningbirmingham.com for more videos. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Remember, Gerri Robinson.
And have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you for watching the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast. Please check out our website, app, or subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest videos today.